Morning, everybody.
Morning, guys. My name's Gabriel. I'm from Birmingham in the UK.
And I'm Emily from Cambridge in the UK.
And we are both at the Ponte Lungo School in Rome.
Yeah.
If you haven't met us.
And we want to know who you are, and where you are, and how you are.
And if you are, for now. The great question.
But not welcome. Hi, Alice.
Hi, Alice. From Turin. How are you, Alice? Counter is so unreliable, isn't it? Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
This is one now. Do you know if the students can see the counter as well?
Yeah, they can.
Okay.
Well, while Alice is responding or not, in this focus activity, we are looking at compound adjectives, idioms, and discussion of what makes a good leader. So this is some stuff we can be looking at. You want to take this?
Yeah. Shall we skip the first one?
Because
that looks kind of rubbish. Who is the most influential leader you know of, and why? Think of their achievements and their personality. So question to students: what kind of leadership skills do you respect in this way? Who is the most influential leader you know of, and why? Hi, Clara from Modena. Well, from Sicily, but in Modena. Yeah, question to the students and question to Emily as well.
Yeah, I was just thinking about it. So we're looking at this one. We're not going to worry about
it. Ignore the first one, guys. It's a bit of a rubbish question.
I mean, yeah. So it's not the best leader, but the most influential leader. That could be quite a different thing.
Interesting. Do you think that? Hi, Ilaria. Do you think that the best leader isn't necessarily the most influential then?
Well, I mean, I suppose you can be objectively a good leader even if your cause is bad. That's true.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're not influential. You can have a bad cause and be incredibly influential, can't you?
No, exactly. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. So when you're talking about best leader, as in you're thinking about the cause of the leadership. I think when we say best leader, though.
Well, I think it could be both. So my initial, when you said, did you say who is the best leader you know? Maybe you didn't say that. Maybe
I said I think I read out the question, then I think I said, what are some leadership skills that you think make?
Yeah,
I think we're getting too bogged down in best now. Let's stick to most influential then.
Well, I suppose world leaders, prime ministers and presidents are pretty influential.
Do you think by design though, or by accident? Most of the time, because they're in positions of leadership, but
yeah. So it's not. I mean, but that makes them an influential leader if you put someone in that position, even if they're not, even if they're maybe not naturally great leaders. Hi, Alessandro.
Hi, Alessandro.
Yeah, from Clara. I think Barack Obama was a great leader. He's loved by many people, even now that he's not president anymore. That's true. Yeah. I think Barack Obama was a very effective leader, whatever you think about his politics. He was and is quite beloved, and he's going to be remembered historically. Not just
as an American president, you think as an outstanding American president.
Yeah. And we have Sina.
Sina from Bologna. Hi. What about to everybody else? I'm not sure who's answering at the moment, but what are some personality traits that make an influential leader? I mean, if we take Obama, then what is it about Obama? Perhaps Clara, you're answering that, but
yeah,
was it the?
I'm not sure if we've really analysed it before.
I think he was very cool and collected. He had a very cool and collected personality in some ways.
Yeah.
His rhetoric was very, I think, in a way, down to earth and quite relatable in some way. No, I've not sat down and looked at and kind of pulled apart his speeches, but he didn't have a kind of dictatorial leadership style, I think, or certainly in the way he spoke and his mannerisms.
Yeah. I think with presidents, so much of our impression of them comes from the speeches they give. Charismatic, yeah, Clara said. Obama's charismatic, absolutely. And he was very good at making speeches. What about to the students and just in general, more examples of influential leaders?
Don't have to be world leaders at this point necessarily.
I'm struggling to think of examples.
What do you think about Greta? This is the card at the moment, isn't it? Somebody who is, for all intents and purposes, probably a kind of underdog in the leadership game. In that she's so young. What do we think about her? Students usually have strong opinions on Greta, one way or the other. So.
Yeah. This is Greta Thunberg. I mean, I assume everyone knows who you mean by Greta, but just in case.
Greta Garbo, obviously. I can't think of a non-Swedish Greta at the moment. So. Perhaps if we dissociate it from the actual person as well, if people are having difficulty thinking of examples, what kind of characteristics in general? Maybe that's an easier way to approach it. So we've got charismatic, I think, from Clara.
Nice. Even a musician could be a good leader. For instance, I'm thinking of the Beatles, who made history carrying on their own ideas. That's good. That's a good sentence, Ilara. Just one little thing. History is an abstract noun. And usually in English, abstract nouns don't want the article. So the Beatles, who made history. Good.
Yeah. Well, that's absolutely right. And
yeah,
artistic figures as well. Yeah, absolutely too. We didn't think along that line so much, but yeah.
Yeah.
Emily and I were humming the Beatles before we started the webinar.
It's a good way to get started with your work.
It is.
From Alessandra.
Alessandra says, I think Greta is one of the most important leaders because she's focused on facts. Yeah. Yeah. Increasingly important.
Yeah.
In our
and rare
age, and rare in our current age. Yeah. I agree, Alessandra. I agree 100%.
Yeah, me too. And from Clara, we have a more general thing about leadership qualities. When I work in a group, I like working with someone who's able to have a global view and organize the job properly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's nice.
Another good sentence. Yeah, so to everybody else, got another one. Alessandra. A good leader is a person who helps the development of his country. Yeah.
A bad one is the surveillance leadership of of a totalitarian government.
I mean, Big Brother in 1984 is quite an interesting example of a leader because it's this. Well, no, it's not faceless. Actually, it definitely has a face. Literally, a human face is attached to it, but it's a big impersonal institution. So it's interesting to use the word leader to talk about Big Brother because it's not an individual. But if there is no individual visibly in charge, then maybe the institution does become the leader. Okay. What are some other, so if we just think of the third, I think Alessandro is probably responding to the third question as well because he seems to be going through it. In general, what makes a good leader or a bad leader?
Or if you are talking about a kind of, in a more general sense, institutional, as you were doing, Alessandro, what leadership, what makes good leadership or bad leadership, I suppose we could say, if it's not the person.
Yeah. It's quite a different question if you're not considering, if you're not thinking about a particular individual as the leader. It affects all sorts of things. I mean, the characteristics that you could ascribe to an institution or a group as a leader are different, and also kind of the chain of accountability is very different. It doesn't all come back to one person.
Mm-hmm.
But that's good. I mean, I think that's an interesting idea. And again, for this last question, we've got good leader and bad leader. I think because of the flexibility of English, that could bring us back to what we originally started talking about. I mean, if I think about my own opinions, who I think is a good leader could be very different. I mean, I don't really like to say that Donald Trump is a good leader, although you could bring up statistics to kind of show that he has been effective in not in accomplishing good policies, but in generating support and having his own way.
I think it's actually perhaps even more of a multifaceted question than whoever wrote this slide intended in that sense, because you could take it down a very dark path in terms of how influential certain characters historically and in our modern age have been, and how that pertains to leadership. Absolutely, yes. And I don't think that was intended.
Because good could mean effective, or it could be good. An effective leader, an influential leader, compared to good in the sense of a good person for a
good cause, or for For example, in football, a good leader is a person able to play properly in each kind of situation, a person who has a global view of the team. Okay, nice. I think I'm interested in this just because this phrase is this global view has cropped up in two sentences. Perhaps overall, I mean, what would you think is broader? Yeah, I think this must be a slight Italianism in some way, but we wouldn't use a global view of the team in this sense. A global view in English has a much more literal meaning, speaking kind of geographically and socio-politically. So when you said like of a football team, we'd probably say just like broad or overall, or another synonym here. What else could we say?
No, I think two synonyms is good.
Okay. Yeah, a person who has a broad or an overall view of the team.
Yeah, and what was their other?
That's the same. That comment would also go to Clara a little bit above as well, to have a broad view and organise the job properly as well.
Yeah. And what did we have? I like this that you've just brought up. A good leader is someone who can make mistakes and be humble in taking the blame. A bad leader is the opposite. I think that's definitely an aspect of admirable leadership. So I think sometimes effective leaders don't do that. Lots of influential leaders would not do what Clara has suggested, but that would be
Absolutely.
an aspect of kind of genuinely good, admirable leadership. Yeah.
Yes, and that's taking good and bad as moral poles as well.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think about okay. That's quite nice. That's a nice sorry, I'm getting distracted.
No, that's absolutely. This is a really good comment.
Yeah.
I think just watch out for your third person is my only that I completely agree with the sentiment. It's just a good leader is a person who listens to other opinions and tries to include all his employers to create a relaxed atmosphere. Yeah. Absolutely. I completely agree.
I think there are maybe a couple of vocab bits. So the employer with ER is the boss or the company. So my employer is my English school. The workers of a company are the employees with EE at the end. And one other little thing, Ilaria, we would probably say if I think about my job. So, or if I think about my job, or if I think about work in general, because job is countable. It should be one particular job. But work is another abstract noun, which just means the whole concept of
Oh, sorry, I wasn't reading the chat there. Sorry, Ilaria. Yeah, you you fixed it.
Oh yeah, I didn't see either. Yeah, good.
Good stuff. Okay, shall we move on?
Yeah, that was quite an interesting conversation. So here we have a list of compound adjectives. They're all adjectives. And then a list of synonyms. So we just need to connect the compound adjective to the synonym, to the opposite, sorry. Let me say that again. We have a list of compound adjectives and a list of opposites. And we need to connect the compound adjective to the opposite. Sometimes the compound adjectives kind of make sense logically. So I think we should just go through the activity before we explain, before we talk about the meaning of the compound adjectives. So, do you want to read the red list, Gabe?
Yep, sure. Okay, so we have disregarded, idealistic, regressive, sensitive, weak, narrow-minded, and foolish. Okay, so if we start with forward thinking. What's the opposite of forward thinking?
Yeah. I think Ilaria's got it. So Ilaria has said 3. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I think regressive is maybe more general, a more general term than forward thinking. You could use regressive in a bigger variety of contexts. Forward thinking should apply to
in the progressive and progressive is more general than forward thinking, and I think progressive is probably slightly more of a direct opposite than regressive.
Yeah, because forward thinking has the verb think in it, so it has to apply to someone or something that is capable of thinking,
rather than generally. General terms. Yeah.
Okay.
Highly respected.
Yep. Good. I think Ilaria and Alessandro. Yeah, and Clara.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
I guess highly respected is fairly self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Someone who receives a lot of respect.
Strong-willed. Ooh, the sleepy sneezes as well. I'm starting to believe in them, honestly.
Yes.
You've convinced me.
Okay. We have lots of suggestions. Strong-willed, weak. Strong-willed from Ilaria, 5 is weak. Alessandro suggested sensitive. Okay, sensitive is not quite the opposite of strong-willed. You could be strong-willed and sensitive. The answer is, like Clara and Ilaria said, the answer is weak, I think. Yeah.
Again, weak has much more of a the column on the right has a much more general sense, doesn't it, to it?
Yeah.
Because weak is weak being the opposite of strong, is an incredibly vague term. I think weak-willed, you could say as well, or
weak-willed,
open-minded.
Well, but what does strong-willed mean, Gabe?
I think it's quite self-explanatory, isn't it?
Well, it is if you know what will means in this case. But that
I think I would have thought that will is known, isn't it?
Maybe, yeah. Well, in any case, I think determined is a good synonym for strong-willed.
But
or committed.
But determined could be. But determined could be more on the side of ambition in a way as well. Whereas I think strong-willed could also be about something like decision and decisiveness, which I don't think is necessarily the same as determination.
Yeah, that's true. It could be almost like stubborn.
Yeah.
Except stubborn has more of a negative.
I think it's just a more. I feel like it's known, is all. And I feel like I'm clouding the understanding of it at this point. Open-minded, we have some answers for. Narrow-minded.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know why they didn't just write weak-willed if they're going to include compounds on the right as well. But hey.
Yeah, that's interesting as well. We have Clara said strong-willed can be tenacious as well.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I think a strong-willed could be some has an aspect of that about it too.
Yeah. Level-headed. We had. So that would be 5. I don't think we've had a suggestion for this one yet.
Level-headed. Guys, what do you think?
This is a slightly strange opposite. I think these last 3 are actually a little tricky to connect with the opposites that we've got here. I think Ilaria's got the right answer there.
Mm.
Yeah, foolish, but I came to this by a process of elimination because in a sense, level-headed could also be opposed to idealistic or sensitive as well.
I think we could bring out our old false friend, sensible, in a way, for this one. Level-headed and sensible, I think, are in a way synonymous, and that is sensible using the English sense of sensible, guys. I think somebody who is level-headed generally is somebody who is sensible. Yeah. Any other comments to say about level-headed?
So yeah, Nadia. I agree that they're not really opposites. I don't think. I think maybe I would say. I mean, foolish isn't exactly crazy, but level-headed is a lot like balanced. The idea of level. You're not swayed too much in any direction.
Yeah, foolish, I think, is somebody who potentially makes bad decisions. I don't think is necessarily somebody who is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is, yeah. I think you can make bad decisions, but not like crazy decisions.
Yeah.
I think in that sense, maybe somebody who's level-headed is somebody who is able to make good decisions and is sensible in that way.
Yeah.
You agree?
Yeah. No, I think sensible is a good synonym. I think foolish is also connected to the idea of a lack of intelligence. It's not just that you make a bad decision one time.
That's true.
But I think if you say somebody is a fool, it means that they are a bit stupid.
Yeah.
Which level-headed doesn't mean intelligent. So in that sense, they're foolish and level-headed aren't opposites.
I think we could debate this all evening. So thick-skinned. We have from Clara and from Alessandra.
Yes. Good.
Sensitive. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Emotionally sensitive. It doesn't. Yeah, emotionally sensitive. Not physically.
Yeah. Yeah. When we're talking about emotionally, I think that's quite a good opposite.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And finally, down to earth. We used this phrase earlier.
Okay. So I think we should get some examples to check that people really understand the compound adjectives. So for the students, who do you know that is... Okay, no, a slightly different question. What job would need somebody to be thick-skinned and why? What profession, what job would need someone thick-skinned?
Yeah. I have to say I'm not very happy with that last opposite either. I don't know how you feel about it.
I don't object to it as some of the other ones, but that doesn't mean I love it.
I think when we're talking about personalities, I don't think it's a very good one. I think when you're talking about generals, perhaps.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about personality, somebody who's idealistic can also be somebody who's down to earth, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Sentence with thick-skinned. I think level-headed might be worth doing as well.
Yeah. Okay, good. Oh, we got two similar examples from Clara. A doctor should be thick-skinned because she has to face a tragedy every day and can't be affected by it. Absolutely. Okay, and Ilaria has the same point.
Absolutely. Excellent.
Yeah,
firefighter as well. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good examples.
Yeah, they are good examples. Yeah. I think people's initial reaction with thick-skinned is often to think about something kind of people who have to, like a doctor or a firefighter who face a lot of kind of
emotional hardship in some way. Yeah.
Yeah, but often in a physical sense, like injured bodies and death and danger and things. But I just wanted to talk about thick-skinned. It could also be, so I think a celebrity has to be an actor, a famous actor has to be fairly thick-skinned in a different way, because they have to be able to deal with a lot of invasive attention and criticism and scrutiny from the general public. And that's also a kind of being a way of being thick-skinned. When you're constantly subjected to that level of, well, and also politicians, anyone in the public eye, you have to be able to accept and.
Do you think you can develop a thick skin?
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's another good point. Doesn't have to be intrinsic. You could develop it.
I think it's it's quite a pertinent way of describing an emotional shield, because skin is something that you grow on you, isn't it, in a way? Or a kind of organ that can rebuild itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you finish that one, guys, how about an example with level-headed? Just because that was another tricky one. It might be worth checking comprehension of that one.
Level-headed is quite a tricky one. I've just been thinking about all of the different facets. It includes quite a big variety of, quite a lot of different things go into making someone level-headed. But I'm not sure I want to confuse everyone by talking about it too much.
Same time again.
Teacher has to be level-headed, especially when it comes to giving marks to the students. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Interesting. Another kind of parental example too. I think parents should be level-headed. Oops. Because they must educate their children, give them a good environment in which they can grow up safely. Yeah, I think that works as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I think level-headed, it almost carries a sense of objective. There's an aspect of you have to be objective about the situation and not let too many other things come in and influence you. You have to keep your head clear and objective about situations, which is great. That works for both of these examples.
And even an element of responsibility as well in it. Somebody who is level-headed is somebody who can take on responsibility, usually, which I think applies to both the teacher example that Clara has given us and Ilaria's example with kind of parental guidance. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, those are great. We only have 3 minutes. So maybe we should just
Maybe we can just pick one.
Go there and keep practicing these. Yeah.
Guys, pick anyone and give us an example. Just anyone on the left, maybe.
Yeah.
So it's a compound.
And not just, so Clara and Ilaria have given us some great examples, but we also had Alessandro. What else can I name? Name and shame.
Name and shame, yeah. Alessandro. I don't know who else is still with
us. We had Alice at the start and Sina. That's everyone that's written to us.
Yeah.
So you can choose any compound adjective, guys, and give us an example of in context. These are all positive aspects. On the left, I mean, all of the compound adjectives on the left they carry a positive sense. Which doesn't mean that all of the red opposites are negative necessarily. Lots of them are negative, but some of them aren't. But the blue ones are all positive. They're all good, good things. And all good aspects of a leader. I was going to say, which do you think could be most important in a leader? But I don't know what my answer is.
It's true. I very much value open-mindedness, I think, is not only in a leader, but in people. I think, for me, open-mindedness is
I think
one that leaps out here.
I agree in general, definitely.
You said the content should
be
forward-thinking in the outbreak situation.
Yeah, good. Gabe is just processing the sentence.
Sorry. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's a good sentence, Clara.
Yeah, it's just with prepositions. Sometimes you need to run them through your head a couple of times. Just that's good. Yeah. And a leader should be down to earth. I think also, if I had to rank them, if somebody forced me to rank them, I think down to earth would come quite highly on mine as well.
Yeah.
Again, not in leadership necessarily, but. Leader must be down to earth, humble, and level-headed. Nice. And we have humble from the other slide as well.
Yeah. Good. Oh, well, we have to finish. That was good, though. I found that quite stimulating.
Yeah. Yeah. And some of those are some really tricky compound adjectives as well. So well done, guys. Really good examples.
I wasn't expecting to find the idea of leadership so interesting, but it was quite. Yeah, good stuff. Thanks, everyone.
All right. We have another one at 2, I think, if you guys are around then.
Yeah.
If not, enjoy the rest of your day.
Have a good lunch.
Yeah, have a good lunch.
Well, in a while, it's a little.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.